Good morning everyone, Mrs Faulkner here and welcome to Monday's reading session. Last week in guided reading you were looking at a book called Fish and Chips with Miss LaBesse. We had some super work sent in based on the book. Let's take a look.
Here's your fish and chip shop. The rabbit works at the fish and chip shop. He's fed up of giving the customers fish and chips. So he made a robot and then he's happy.
In our guided reading sessions this week, we're going to be looking at a new book. Before we look at our new book, I want to share today's learning objective with you. Here it is. Our learning objective today is to predict what might happen in the story. Under here, I've got our key vocabulary. Let's have a look. We've got predict. Oh, that's one of our words in our learning objective. We've also got guess and suggest. Guess and suggest are other words for predict. These three words go together. If you predict, you are guessing or suggesting something. Over here we've got some more key vocabulary words that you might need to think about today to achieve our learning objective. We've got how, where, who, what and when. Here is the front cover of this week's guided reading book. I would like you to pause the video and talk to your grown-up about what you can see on the front cover. You may have noticed I have covered up the title. It's hiding behind the blue blob because I don't want that to influence what you think the book might be about. So, talk to your grown-up. What can you see on the front cover? Hopefully you've spoken to your grown-up about what you can see on the front cover of this week's book. We're now going to have a look at the title of the book. I'm going to move our blue blob. There. Have a look at the title. Talk to your grown-up. Can you spot any letters that you recognise? Pause the video if you want more time before we have a look together. The title of our book, here it is. Let's count how many letters are in our title. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters and a symbol. We'll come back to the symbol. So let's have a look at our first letter. What is that first sound of our word? That's right, it's our M sound. M, next sound, O. Now we have got a digraph here. 2 letters that make one sound, our T and our H. Now, if you've already done your phonics today, you might have already seen this digraph. Our TH can either make the soft th sound or the hard th sound. So let's have a look. M, O, th, s. Oh, listen again. See if you can blend my sounds together. M, O, th, s. Moths. The title of our book is Moths. Does anybody know what a moth is? That's right. A moth is this creature here. A moth is a little bit like a butterfly, but not quite as colourful. Now, when we looked at the title, I said we would come back to this symbol. Have you seen this symbol before at the end of a word? Does anybody know what it's called? It's called an exclamation mark. The exclamation mark is there to emphasise the word and add surprise. If the exclamation mark wasn't there, we would say moths. With the exclamation mark there, we change our voice to add surprise and say moths. We're now going to have a look at the back cover of our book. Can you remember what we find on the back cover of our book? That's right, it's our blurb. And our blurb tells us a little bit about the story. I've zoomed in on our blurb so we can read it together. We've got our title again, Moths. Let's look at our words. Let's sound out this first word. Ant, ant, tiger, and, knock. Let's jump back. Ant, tiger, and knock. Tricky word. That's right, go. On, let's jump back and read the sentence so far. Ant, tiger, and knock. Go on let's look at this word. It looks similar to our title. Digraph. Moth. Well, now this word is a tricky word. We've got a trigraph in there. Some of you might know this trigraph. Let's have a look together. And then we've got the I trigraph, the I-G-H together. 3 letters that make one sound. I-T, flight. Let's bounce back and read the whole sentence. Ant, tiger, and knock go on a moth flight. Here we've got some key words from our book today. We've got 2 tricky words. Remember, our tricky words are the words we just need to learn. We can't sound them out. They're on our red splats. Let's have a look at our first tricky word. Can you tell me what it is? That's right, the. T-H-E, the. The. Have a look over here at this tricky word. Can you tell me what this tricky word is? That's right, go. G-O, let's go. Now down here, we've got 2 words that are in our book that aren't tricky words. These are words we can sound out. Let's sound them out together. And. And. And this word? It's our digraph. Moths. These words will come up in our book this week. Try and remember them. For your tasks today, you can choose which chilli challenge you want to take. Chilli challenge number 1. Talk to your grown-up about what you think might happen in the story. You can predict what you think the characters will do and where they will go. Ask your adult to write it down for you. Chilli challenge number 2. You can draw a picture of what you think might happen in the story. Where do you think they might go? What might they do? And can you label your picture? And for chilli challenge number 3, I would like to see if you can research moths. You could look on Google, you could look in some books, see if you can find out some information about moths. Then see if you can use this information to help your prediction about what might happen in the story. Draw and write about what you think might happen in our guided reading book. I've left our pictures up at the bottom to give you things to think about when you're making your predictions and thinking about what might happen in the story. Where might the story take place? Who is in the story? What might happen in the story? And when does the story take place? What time of day? Don't forget to email today's work in to our reception email address, as teachers can't wait to see what you think might happen in the story. I'm now going to read you this story, How to Catch a Star by Oliver Jeffers. You might want to listen now, or you might want to pause the video and listen to me read it later, maybe at bedtime. Enjoy!
Once there was a boy, and the boy loved stars very much. Every night the boy watched the stars from his window and wished he had one of his very own. He dreamed how this star might be his friend. They would play hide and go seek and take long walks together. The boy decided he would try to catch a star. He thought that getting up early in the morning would be best, because then the star would be tired from being up in the sky all night. So the next day he set out at sunrise, but he could not see a star anywhere. He sat down and waited for one to appear. He waited, and he waited, and ate lunch. And waited, and after dinner he waited some more. Finally, just before the sun was about to go away, he saw a star. The boy tried to jump up and grab it, but he could not jump high enough. So very carefully he climbed to the top of the tallest tree he could find, but the star was still way out of reach. He thought he might lasso the star with a lifebelt from his father's boat, but it was much too heavy for him to carry. He thought he could fly up in his spaceship and just grab the star, but his spaceship had run out of petrol last Tuesday when he flew to the moon. Perhaps he could get a seagull to help him fly up into the sky to reach his star, but the only seagull he could find didn't want to help at all. The boy thought he would never catch a star. Just then he noticed something floating in the water. It was the prettiest star he had ever seen. Just a baby star. It must have fallen from the sky. He tried to fish the star out with his hands, but he couldn't reach it. Then he had an idea. The star might wash up on the shore. He ran back along the jetty to the beach. Then he waited and walked and watched and waited. And sure enough, the star washed up on the bright golden sand. The boy had caught a star of his very own. The end.